Hello, this is Mary with Mango Math, and this is a fourth grade lesson called Combing Through Fractions, and that's exactly what students are going to be doing. To play this game, students will put their colored pawn on any one of the B's, the colored B's, and that's their starting point. Then one player is going to roll the dice, and let's say that player landed on 3. That player, let's say I'm starting with the red one, has to determine which one of these fractions, when you multiply a multiplication of a fraction by a whole number, which one of these fractions is going to be the answer of 3. So they need to look at each one of these and determine if any of them, if at all, are equal 3. So let's look at the 3/4 of 4. What I want students to realize is that 4 is the total of wholes. So I'm going to put up 4 counters, and they'll have counters to use to help them with this. So I'm going to put up 4 counters. So that's my 4. And then it says I want them, the 4 in the fraction tells me how many rows or how many groups there are. So there's going to be 4 groups. And the 3 tells me, the numerator is going to tell me how many groups I'm going to take. In this case, I can take these 3. So 3/4 of 4 actually is 3. So that player can move his pawn onto that space. And they're trying to get across to get to this last and final space right here, 1/10 of 50. So let me show you how this, using these counters, works when you have a little bit higher number and a different type of fraction. So let's say we're over here on the yellow, and we have, I'm going to make a little yellow pawn counter here. I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to turn it onto yellow. So this is my yellow guy. I'm now trying to figure out if any of these equals 3. So in order to do that, I'm going to show you how you do that using counters. So 14 tells me how many counters I have. So right now I have 5. I'm going to make 14, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. So I have 14 counters here to use, and the students will have these as well. So I have 14 counters. 7 tells me how many groups. So I've got to have 7 groups of counters. So I'm going to put this little star over there. And that means I'm going to have 2 counters in each group. Because I have 7 groups, I'm going to now have 2 counters in each of these groups. All right. And this is shown to the kids in the lesson. The next, I have the numerator, which tells me how many groups I'm talking about. And in this case, it's 2 groups. So 2 groups of the 7. How many are in the 2 groups? The answer to that is 4. So if they had rolled a 4, they could move to that spot. But because they didn't, they now have to go to this other spot and see if this equals 3. And 1/4 of 4. Let me show you that one. So I'm going to have 4 counters, because the whole number is the amount of counters I have. And if I have them in 4 different groups, as it is here, because that numerator or denominator tells me how many groups. I have 4 groups, and I have 1 of the 4. So that 1 of the 4 is just going to be 1. So right here, I could only land on 1 that equals 4, or I could land on 1 that equals 1. And because I didn't roll that, I can't move yet. But because I did the math, I know what I need to roll in order to move to those spaces. So sometimes you're not going to have a move, and sometimes you are, but you're always going to be doing the math and figuring out what are the values of the spaces right next to you. All right, so enjoy that game.